Welcome back, friends. Welcome to Circle Time. I hope you've had as much fun as I have checking on the progress of your seeds. Last weekend, my husband and I planted a vegetable garden, and every morning I've been going out to check and see if there's any little sprouts, baby plants, and we know that they're called seedlings. Well, it takes about 7 days or 1 week for any signs of life to be coming above the ground. And guess what? It's been 6 days, almost 1 week, and I went out this morning for the first time and saw some baby lettuce, some baby beans, some baby corn, and some baby beets just peeking their heads above ground. I hope that you're checking on your little baby plants or seedlings and having fun. You might have to wait a little bit longer for your baby tomatoes because they take a little time, but have patience and continue to water your seedlings and keep them in a sunny spot. Well, this week we're going to talk about something else that we see a lot of in springtime, and that's insects. You should be seeing a lot of them nowadays crawling around or flying in your yard. The Cat in the Hat is going to help us learn a little bit more about insects. This book is called On Beyond Bugs, all about insects. Here we go. I'm the Cat in the Hat. And I'm glad that I found you. Right now, if you look, you'll see insects all around you. They live in the water, the earth, and the sky. Just wait, and you'll soon see an insect go by. There are millions of them. I will show some to you. Your mother will not mind if I do. And there's thing one and thing two in Cat in the Hat. And there's some butterflies and a grasshopper and some ants are trying to share the picnic that the little boy and the girl have. By the way, the weather's been so nice lately, having a picnic out on your front yard or your backyard might be a fun activity for you and your family. Oh, there's some ladybugs crawling up the tree trunk. I'd like you to listen for what makes something an insect. How many legs does it have? How many body parts does it have? Now, I'd also like you to start a list of different insects that you might see crawling around the ground at your house. Inside your house or out in the yard. Hopefully most of them are out in the yard. Start making a list. Here's a few on these 2 pages. There's a praying mantis. There's a butterfly. There's a ladybug, a grasshopper, and a black ant. Now, down here below is a spider. Let's see what thing 1 and thing 2 have to say about the spider. Spiders aren't insects. This news couldn't wait. Instead of 6 legs, every spider has 8. Now, did you know that spiders are not insects? And the reason is all insects have, let's count them in just a minute, 6 legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But a spider has 8 legs. 4 on one side and 4 on the other side. 4 and 4 is 8. So a spider is not an insect. If you look at an insect up close, you will see its body in parts. And each insect has 3 body parts. 6 legs, 3 body parts. Let's find out what those body parts are. First the head, then the thorax, and here at the end is the longest part, which is called the abdomen. The head the thorax, and the abdomen. The abdomen is the stomach. The thorax is in between the head and the abdomen. Insects cannot see all the things that surround them, so they have two feelers to touch what's around them. So the insect's eyes don't see as well as ours do, so they have something else to help them. Two antennas on top of their heads, and they help them feel what's around them. There's 3 bugs with different antennas, or 3 insects. An insect has feelers on top of its head. Some look a lot like a thin piece of thread, while others look much more like feathers instead. Thing 1 and Thing 2 are saying, we wish we had feelers, but we don't have any. You can also call feelers by this name, antennae. So there's Thing 1 and Thing 2. They have headbands on that make them look like they're insects. They have antenna headbands. So far we've learned that insects have 6 legs, 3 body parts, the head, the thorax, and the abdomen, and they also have 2 antennas which help them feel what's around them. Watch an insect and see all the things that it does. Some can swim, jump, or crawl. There's a diving beetle that can swim. There's a dog flea that can jump, and a caterpillar that crawls. Those are all insects: caterpillars, fleas, and beetles. And here on this page we have a cricket, a firefly, and a bumblebee. Others chirp like the cricket, and some buzz like the bumblebee. Birds and frogs look for insects in order to eat them. So insects work hard to make sure they don't meet them. So birds and frogs want to eat the insects. So what would they be called? That's right, they'd be called predators. Birds and frogs are predators to the insects. Some, like the wasp, have bright colors that say, "Don't come near me, I'll sting you, so just stay away." So the insects are made in different ways to protect themselves from their predators. This moth's wings are colored to look just like the tree it is resting upon, so that no one can see it. So there's a brown moth resting on a brown tree trunk. It's camouflaged, right? We know that word. So the birds and the frogs won't be able to see it and eat it. Well, here's another insect that has a really cool way of protecting itself. This spittlebug sits and he spits out a bubble. It's wet and it's cool, and it can save him from trouble. Or when he's all covered in bubbly foam, if a hungry bird comes, it thinks, nobody's home. So see, there's the spit bug on the leaf. He's blowing bubbles from his mouth. And if you look on this side, right there, you can't even see him anymore because he's all covered, his whole body, with bubbles that he's made from his mouth. So that camouflages him or hides him from his predators. So the hungry bird can't even see him anymore. Here's a riddle I learned from my mother. How's a skunk and a ladybug like one another? How are a skunk and a ladybug like one another? Well, when danger is near, it is easy to tell. They suddenly give off a terrible smell. Oh, pew. We knew that skunks protect themselves by giving off a terrible smell, but did you know if you touch a ladybug and scare it, it also gives off a stinky smell to make you leave it alone and stop touching it. These busy insects are my friends, the ants. They like to eat seeds, other insects, and plants. Ants are so strong they can lift things that weigh over 10 times their weight. and they do it all day. So ants can lift things that are 10 times hungrier, 10 times heavier than they are. 5, 10. So one ant could carry 10 other ants on top of it. That's how strong he is. So if you were as strong as an ant, you would see you could lift up 10 cats in tall hats easily. So it would be like one person lifting 10 people that weighed the same as them on top of them. So ants are tiny, but they're very strong, and they work very hard. Watch these honeybees, and I'm sure you'll agree that these bees are as busy can be. Worker bees collect food, and they keep the hive clean. They protect it from danger and wait on their queen. So there's all the little worker bees all around the big queen bee. And the worker bee's job is to take care of the queen bee. They clean the hive and they bring food back to the queen bee so she can do her job. She must stay in one place. It is her job to lay dozens and dozens of eggs every day. She lays there all day laying eggs, and these little guys work hard to take care of her. The queen bee and the worker bees. When a bee has discovered where food can be found, she goes back to her friends and starts dancing around. Well, that's kind of neat. First she wiggles and then she waggles in circles, and so all the other bees know which direction to go. So there is a bee who's found some nectar from this clover. She starts doing a special bee dance in one direction that lets her friends know, I found some food and it's over here. So instead of keeping it all to herself, she's generous and she shares the food and the nectar with her other worker bee friends. We can grow lots of flowers with the help from the bees. They store dust from each flower in the back of their knees. Isn't that interesting? At the back of their knee is where the bees store that special powder. And what's it called, that powder they find on the stems coming out of the petals? What's that powder called? Pollen, yes. When they get it on the back of their fuzzy legs, they are flying to the next flower, and the dust falls off. It goes down the tube and lands on those eggs or ovules at the bottom of the petals. And what happens when the pollen touches the ovules or the eggs? It is fertilized and a new seed starts. We talked about that on our study of seeds last week. It's called pollination or fertilization. This dust is called pollen. Next flower they find, when they land on it, they leave some pollen behind. This is called pollination, and it makes new seeds. They grow even more flowers, which everyone needs. So there's the beautiful flowers. They're a gift from God because they're so pretty, but they're also very special because what do they give off? A special gas that we need to breathe in the air called, you got it, oxygen. And what do we give off that the plants need? Another special gas called carbon dioxide. We don't like carbon dioxide and we breathe it out. Plants do like it, and remember, when their leaves are open, they take in the carbon dioxide, and that mixed with the sunlight helps them to make food. They don't like the oxygen, so they get rid of it and we breathe it in. So we really do need plants and flowers, and they really do need us. Some insects I know can be unwanted guests. Fleas, flies, and mosquitoes can really be pests. Fleas live on cats, dogs, rats, hamsters, and mice. Their bite is quite itchy, which isn't too nice. Now, there's a lot of pretty insects who do things that help us. We know the bumblebees help us. We know caterpillars are turn into beautiful butterflies, but I can't think of much use for a flea or a mosquito. Can you? We call them pests. But fleas are wonderful jumpers. If we were fleas, we'd jump over a house, and we'd do it with ease. So there's the little boy and the cat in the hat and the little girl pretending they're fleas using their imaginations to jump over top of the roof of a house. Have you ever wondered, why does a fly buzz? Well, it beats its wings fast, and each time that it does, its wings make a sound you can hear in your ear. And this sound lets you know there's a fly flying near. Here's a fact about flies that we both thought was icky. They can walk upside down since their feet are so sticky. So there's thing one and thing two. They think it's very icky that flies' feet are sticky. But because the flies' feet are sticky, they can walk up walls and upside down on ceilings. And that's kind of neat, kind of like Spider-Man. I don't think mosquitoes are very polite. When they're hungry, they land and they sting and they bite. But it's only the female mosquitoes that do. Male mosquitoes will never come bothering you. So that might be something that you've never heard before. Only the female mosquito will sting you. Caterpillars do something you might think is strange. They start out as one thing, and then one day they change. Some spin a small house on a branch, just like this. And this home they make is called a chrysalis. So there's the caterpillar on this top branch. But on this lower branch, we see something hanging down. Well, that is a home that the caterpillar has spun for himself. He's inside of this home, and this home is called a chrysalis. Inside, that caterpillar is going through a change. We call that change a metamorphosis. That's a big word, metamorphosis. What will come out of that chrysalis? What do you think? If you watch it, you'll see when a few weeks go by, it turns into a beautiful new butterfly. Of course, the caterpillar, after it goes into the chrysalis, changes, and when it comes out in maybe a month later, a few weeks, it has changed into a beautiful butterfly. And this time of year, the butterflies are flying back from the warmer parts of the earth, like maybe Florida, Mexico, South America. They're coming back to places like Canada and the United States, colder areas. And one that we see often around here that comes from Mexico is the monarch butterfly. It has beautiful orange wings with black spots. It spends the winter in Mexico and it comes back in the spring to Ontario in Canada. Here's a quick fact that we both thought was neat. Butterflies can taste food with their feet. Can you imagine? If you stamped your foot on the ground or you walked around in the grass and you could taste everything that was underneath you, well, the butterflies can taste food with their feet. And this butterfly is walking around inside this dish of petals and flowers and tasting his food. On warm summer evenings, you may see the light of fireflies flashing off on in the night. They are like tiny flashlights that float in the sky. If you want to catch them, it's all right to try. Use a jar with a lid. Watch them glimmer and glow. Then open the jar up and let them all go. Have you ever been out for a nighttime walk with your family and seen the little lights glimmering beside the road or in the yard? Fireflies are beautiful at nighttime, aren't they? Well, you could catch them in a jar and make a little lantern of fireflies if if you looked at them for a few minutes in a dark room, switch the light off, and then switch it back on, and then take the fireflies out and let them fly away. All day and all night, on the ground, in the air, insects are moving around everywhere. It's important for us to keep learning about them. The world that we know couldn't go on without them. The butterfly, the ladybug, the ant, and the bee make everything better for you and for me. So here's some of the insects we learned about in this book: butterflies, ladybugs, ants, grasshoppers. So I hope you have started making your own list of insects, even while we're reading the book, or later on when you do a study with Mom and Dad about insects. I'd like you to go outside in your own yard and start finding insects that you see all around you and writing them down and learning about them.